The topic for this project that I have chosen is hotel liability, and that begins with the innkeepers and the innkeeper's law. So, in order to understand what the innkeeper's law is, we have to define what an innkeeper is. And essentially, that's the person who manages or owns an inn. The inn can be seen as a hotel, a bed and breakfast, a motel, and more. The innkeeper's law establishes responsibility to the innkeeper for anyone who is considered a guest and is under their care. Innkeeper's laws date all the way back to the 1700 BC in Babylon. There was an innkeeper there that had even been sentenced to death because he was being negligent to travelers. Another country that implemented these laws was England. And in England, the innkeeper's law made the innkeeper liable for not only the well being of their guests, but also the goods that belonged to the guests. Now, there is punishment still to this day, maybe not as serious as what happened in Babylon, but if someone violates the innkeeper's law now, there is a punishment for it. And that can also go for the guest, not just the hotel. But in Florida, you can be found as guilty of second-degree misdemeanor. And the Florida statute states any person who obtains food, lodging, or other accommodations having a value of less than $300 at any public food establishment or any transient establishment with intent to defraud the operator thereof is guilty of a misdemeanor of the second degree. Now, who benefits from the innkeeper's law, the hotel or the guest? And I personally believe this depends on the state you are in and how valuable the item is that's now gone. In California, the innkeeper law only requires the hotel to cover up to $500 for the guest. In California, this would benefit the hotel far more than the hotel guest, especially if the guest has had something taken from the hotel that is far more valuable than that. An example of this happened at the Marriott San Francisco Marquis Hotel. Mr. Sambuni and his friend had checked into the hotel and was informed that their room was not yet ready. The hotel then offered to take their luggage and would provide a valet service paired with a claim check. Once the room was ready, Mr. Sambuni's friend was the only person who had their luggage, while Mr. Sambuni's luggage was nowhere to be found. Once the valet service was approached regarding this issue, the valet informed Mr. Sambuni that someone had shown up claiming to have luggage stored with the valet service but did not have a claim ticket. This guest, the one who did not have a claim ticket, was then taken into the luggage storage area and was allowed to select their luggage. Unfortunately, their luggage ended up belonging to Mr. Sambuni. The Marriott had ensured that Mr. Sambuni would receive compensation for the loss of his luggage, which ended up being valued at around $8,000. Unfortunately, once this was brought up in court, the lawyer for the Marriott had brought up California's innkeeper law from 1872 and stated that compensation should be limited to $500. The judge, not having a choice but to take this law into consideration, was only able to raise the amount to $1,553. So, in the battle of hotel versus guest, hotels are typically victorious. Innkeepers' laws are not only set in place for the guest and their well being, but also set in place for the hotel to only be liable up to a certain amount. Hotels also benefit from these laws because it allows hotels to evict their guests if there is any disorderly conduct, breaking hotel rules, not leaving the hotel at checkout time, and in Florida, this law even goes as far as the hotel being able to evict a guest if the guest injures the reputation, dignity, or standing of this establishment. This law also puts a limit on how liable the hotel is if a guest has their items stolen from their room or if any damage is done to their vehicle while parked on hotel property. The hotel also has the power to keep all of the guest belongings if the guest is unable to pay their bill. These are just a few of the ways how this has changed over the times, but essentially, I believe this law was put in place to benefit not only the guest and their well being, but also helps prevent the hotel from being liable for things that are completely out of their control. Thank you.